Next, we're going to talk about the vertical and horizontal lines. The question asks which of the following represents the equation of the x-axis. I want to turn your attention to this graph right here. Always remember that this is your x-axis and this is your y-axis. A good way to remember the difference between the x-axis and the y-axis when it's asking for slope, always remember whatever it's asking, it's going to pass through itself. In other words, a line that passes through the x-axis. This line is not an example of this because it's parallel to the x-axis. It's not running through. So that means the line will be running through the x-axis. In this case, we look at our answer choices. We know it's not asking for the slope, it's asking for the equation. Undefined is not an answer choice. X equals 0. In this case, we are going to be looking right on the axis of the lines because of the fact that it's 0. But if it's asking for x equals 0, we know x is going to be parallel because it needs to run through the opposite. I know it's not 0, but just to show you, it's going to be parallel to the x-axis. B is incorrect. Same exact thing with D. It's just a number, but it has an x. Process of elimination, we know that C is our answer. Next, we're going to talk about which of the following equations represents the line that's parallel to the x-axis and passes through the point 3, -5. The first way I like to start this problem is by making another graph. It's asking for a parallel line, so I know that's two lines that never touch. If you look on this graph right here, bam. Parallel line. We are in high school, we should know this, But it's asking, passes through the point 3, -5. So, if I were to label this, it's going to be really janky. 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm going to plot that point 3, -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you look on that side right there, we talked about how the y and x's cross each other. If we're trying to find the x-axis, we know that it's going to be a y because of the fact that it's going to be crossing the x. So A and B are off. We look at our plotted point, we look at the 3. We look at the choices. Y equals 3. 1, 2, 3. That's our line that C shows. That's incorrect, obviously, because the point's right there. D, -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Line goes through that point. Alright, so now we're on the third one. Same exact thing as the last thing we've been talking about, except you actually have a graph. We do know that this point is positive 3. 3, 0. Had a brain fart, my bad. Which equation best represents the graph to the left? Considering that we remember that this is the y, and this is the x. In order for it to be an x, it needs to cross itself. Does this line cross itself? Yeah, it does. So we automatically know that A and B are out because of the fact that's not a y. We look at these guys. X equals 3 or x equals 3y? It should be C. Equation of lines. The very first thing we want to do when we're given two plot points, is write down the equation for it. It's always going to be y equals mx plus b. Much better marker, thank you. Yep. We know that b stands for the y-intercept. And m is the slope. Now, how are you going to find the slope or a y-intercept with only 2 points? Easy. We have an equation for it. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. In this case, it's going to be -2 minus 3 over negative 5 minus 4. When I solve for this, I do same change. It's negative 5 over negative 9. Don't get caught up right here. This does not make this a negative. Both negatives cancel out on both sides. Therefore, you're going to get a positive 5 over 9. That gives you a slope of 5 ninths. When we plug this in, we still are missing the y, the x, and the b. Well, specifically the b. We don't worry about the y or the x. However, I said that and got it mixed up because the next step for this is to plug in one of the plot points into the y and x. So I'm going to choose this one because of the fact that it looks like it has easier numbers to work with. When I plug in to y equals mx plus b, I'm going to get y equals mx plus b. I don't know what b is, but I do know what I can plug in. It's going to give me a total of negative 25 over 9 plus b equals negative 2. When I add these on both sides, I need to do the math. 25 over 9. 1 goes into 9. 9 times. Multiply that on both sides. I'm going to get negative 18 over 9 plus 25 over 9. Yeah, I have no calculator, so 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Common denominators, always remember that. This is our b. To finalize, now since we know what our b is, I'm going to make some space. Okay. Now since we know what b is, plug back everything else. Don't worry about the y or the x. We don't care about that. We're trying to find the slope and the b. So slope intercept formed. It's going to be y equals the same exact slope that we've been using, 5 ninths, 5 over 9, x plus 7 over 9. That is the equation for those two plots. Number 2, same exact thing. We have 2 plot points. We're going to use this equation, plug in what we know so far. We know the equation, brain fart. We know the equation for this. It's once again, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 over x1, or minus x1, 5 minus 3 over negative 2 minus 1. Same change. 2 over negative 3. We do not need, We do not need to worry about changing this anymore because there's only one negative over one top. Think about that, okay? If there's 2 negatives, then you would make it a positive. Now since we have our slope, we're going to plug in one of these equations. This time I'm going to choose 1, 3. It looks easier. So, I'm going to plug in the y. Y equals, same slope, 1 plus b. Negative 2 over 3 times 1 is still going to be negative 2 over 3. Plus 3. We add 2 over 3 on both sides. Same exact thing almost. 1 goes into 3 times. Multiply that on the numerator and denominator. 9 over 3 for the common denominators. It's going to be 11 over 3. This will lead us to a mixed number. If you guys remember, we are in high school, we should know how to do this. I'm not going to lecture you about this one. Oh man, but you need to teach me how to subtract in my head. Pretty sure that's a 2. Bring this back up top. 3 over 2/3 should be the mixed number. So when we rewrite this for a finalized answer, we do not worry about the y or the x. Y equals same slope. X plus 3 2/3. That's the equation for those two. Okay, guys, lastly, we're going to do find the equation of a slope-intercept. I'm sorry, bro. It wouldn't come out.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's what she said. Find the equation of a slope-intercept form. We have a line right here on this thing. On this graph? Graph, okay. The very first thing you always want to remember is y equals mx plus b. It's asking for the slope-intercept form, so that's just this form right here. To make it easier, instead of having to find two different points, the best way to do this is looking at the y-intercept. Automatically, you know that b stands for the y-intercept. This makes b a positive 2. Now for the slope, all you have to do is look at the lines. Alright? It goes down 1, over 1. Down 1, over 1, down 1, over 1. It's being write down, always write it down, it's helpful. Rise over run. Always remember that. Rise over run, thank you. That's going to be the slope right there. Since there's a 1, your whole number is going to be -1. Therefore, m is going to be -1. X and y, you just leave blank. That is your equation of this line. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now, let's check our answers. Oh, whoa. I'm going to cut that out. Cut. I want you guys to give it a try now. Whoa, my bad. Give it a try. Alright. Check your answers. If we're wrong, we are very sincerely sorry. You know, it's late. Okay. Okay, guys, you can try it yourself now. Here's the answer key. Sorry, I forgot to put the y equals before it. Now we're going to talk about perimeter of composites. The very first thing I like to do is just look at the figure. I know what I'm working with. I could see squares and rectangles, basically all rectangles. So what I do first, I normally split up the shapes. Horizontal, vertical, it doesn't really matter. And then I also pay attention to these lines. These lines tell which sides are congruent. So if I know one dash is next to 3 centimeters, I know the other dash is going to be the same exact thing. 3 centimeters. I do that with every single line that I see. Alright, 7. 7. Now I'm starting to see a lot more. See, since I see 2 different dashes, I notice that this one doesn't have a dash. Considering the fact that there's 2 equal sides, I can automatically tell that this little half will be 1 centimeter. Same with this. I know the 2 sides are 3 centimeters. The length is going to be 5 centimeters. You don't necessarily need to worry about the height because of the fact that we're not trying to find the area. So don't even worry about that. We know this side, this side, this side, this side, this side, this side, this side. We know all of the outside. Except one thing. We know that this entire side is going to equal 7. See, I was on track. Considering the fact that this is both congruent, because you know, if you want to feel more comfortable doing this, you could always put a 4 right here, because 4 plus 3 equals 7, which is the whole entire length, as you can see there. It doesn't really affect this because perimeter is the addition of all the outside angles. We automatically know that this is going to be 2 because of this 2. And also you can check your work. I should have a total of, let's see, 8 centimeters. Because I look at this, this, and this. I don't worry about the heights. Because I'm trying to find the length of the entire rectangle. 5 plus 1 equals 6 plus 2 equals 8. I look up here, 1 plus 5 plus 2 equals, same thing, 8. so it's correct. I add them all together, and I am going to do calculations on that. 1 sec. 8 plus 8 plus 7 plus 3 plus, oh my gosh, 1 plus 5 2 plus 6. After adding all of these up, my final answer is going to be 36 centimeters. Hi, Madre.
Hi.
Moving on to the next one, we look at the same shapes and dashes. We create the different sides. Bam. 2 different rectangles. We know the opposite of 2m is going to be 2.
You like that stuff?
So, but this is basically the same exact thing as this, what we just did with all this. We split up the different triangles, or rectangles, sorry, wow, brain fart. I see this 2 is going to go right here, because it's all in the same little region. This is a little different because of the fact that there's an 8 on this full entire side. If I know that this side is going to be 2, I deduct 8, I deduct 2 from 8. So 8 minus 2 equals 6. And cross out that 8. Still, the whole entire side is going to equal 8 because 6 plus 2 equals 8. We just simplified it more down. This entire side is 20. We look up here. It's split in 2. This is what we're going to do here. 20 minus 6. 20 minus 6 equals 14. And that's 14. We're not done. Look at these dashes. Oh, my bad. That's my fault. Oh, well, it still works, but we're in this tiny little triangle. We know that this height is going to be 4 because of this. We come down these 2 dashes. This should signify that's a 12 along with that end. And I don't care if these are really bad, length, but whatever. 6 on both sides. Actually, no. This is what you gotta watch out for. Oh man. I'm actually gonna take those out because it makes no sense. 6 on both sides. You gotta catch yourself sometimes on that. Now we look at the figure and it's all labeled. We have no missing ends. We do our calculations. I hate this so much. 14 plus 4 plus 12 plus 2 plus 12, 16 plus 20 plus 8. Oh, that was not 16. 6 plus 2 equals 8. Plus 8. Plus 6. Plus 4. My answer is 88. Last but not least, we have one last problem. It's a little more challenging because of the circle. But don't let the circle creep you up yet. Same exact thing. Cut in little shapes. Little rectangles. You know this one's going to be 2. So it's going to be 4. So it's going to be 3. So it's going to be 3. 4 plus 2 equals 6. Plus 3 equals 9. Plus 3 equals 12. Same length. No change. It's just brought down a little more. We look at this end. Boom, boom. Because of these dashes, we look at this side. Well, I look at this side. Excuse me. 8, 5. It's not the full length. 8 minus 5 equals 3 or 2? I think it's tally. 8 minus 5. It's 2.
3.
3. Okay, I'm sorry. God.
Swear.
You ain't gonna do nothing. So this is gonna equal 3 because 8 minus 5 equals 3. Like Tyler said. so angrily. Length is 3, 3, 3. Okay, fantastic. Now when it comes to calculations, it's going to be a little more tricky. Here's why. We have half of a circle. To find the perimeter of a circle, you need to do circumference equals pi d. No, just for time's sake, we're going to leave it in terms of pi. I know the entire diameter is 8. Right? Plug it in, basically. Yeah, 8 pi. This is a little more funky because it's only half of a circle. Therefore, we need to divide that by 2 because it's only half. Divide it in halves. Your answer for that should be 4 pi. So now, we're going to use that calculation, including this, because let's say, we can't take out the circle, but the circle does have an additional outside length. So we can't just say, oh, that doesn't really matter. So now we check it again. Let's take that out, because now we have that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 3, 3. It's all good now. Now we need to do the calculations. Leave it in terms of pi, it's fine. It's 2, it's 3, it's 4, it's 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 4, plus 2. Ooh, I lost my spot. Let's start at 5. Okay. The last answer should be 35 plus 4 pi. Hey guys, I think you're ready. Give this one a try. Here's the answer key. Yes, you have read right. For every perimeter, there must be an area. Right, Tyler? That's right. Same exact thing as the last time. I'm going to split these up in half. Now this is a little awesomer because of the fact that you're trying to find the area. We don't have to find, well, we still need to find every single missing side. However, it's kind of easier in a way. I'll tell you how. We have one missing side. That's the first thing I do for areas, at least. I find my missing sides. There's 2 missing sides. My bad. 6 plus 4, the length, should equal 10. So I know this is also going to be 10. I'm missing this. 10 minus 8 equals 2. We have my missing sides. Now, when I look at this, I also need to split this in half. This is also going to be 2. This is going to be 8. Makes my job easier for these. Considering these are both rectangles, I know that to find the area is base times height. 10 times 8. That's going to be 80 inches squared. As for this, 2 times 4. 8 inches squared. All we got to do at this point is add them together. Because of the fact that there's 2 added on, glued on rectangles. Your answer is going to be 88 inches squared. Okay guys, now for the second one, we know we have a square with equal sides, so let me fill that out. 7, 7, 7. But wait, this is a little funky because of these circles. I see that they're taking up half of the space. So what I'm going to do is take 7 and divide it by 2. 6, 1. Half of 7 is 3.5, so I'm going to change that up. That actually stays the same because it's full. Okay. 7, 7, 3.5, 3.5. As for these, same exact thing as I told you, except we're not trying to find the perimeter anymore. We're doing area. Area of a circle is pi r squared. We're going to leave these in terms of pi as well. This is easy for us. We just plug it in. Pi 6 squared 36 pi. Oh man, this is so hard. JK. Half of 12 equals 6. Same exact thing, it's going to be 36 pi. We still need to find the area of this, which is why it's a little easier, because we're just adding the circles to it. Do not be fooled by the 3.5 because of the fact that there's still these dashes right here. This still signifies that it's still going to be a total of 7. Right? So 7 times 7 to find the area of a square or a rectangle based on its height is 49. We know that these are both 36. 36 plus 36, 72. 72 plus 49. Your area should be 121 inches squared. Oh, excuse me. Never forget that. My bad. I do that all the time. You still use the circles. It's going to be 121 pi inches squared. Start off, one thing to always remember about 45, 45, 90-degree triangles is the fact that they're called 45 and 45, 90 triangles because those are the degrees of their angles. Square signifies 90 degrees, 45 and 45. I put two 45s on both sides because 45 and 45 are always going to be the same. Thus being said, we look at the questions. The length of BC, which is right here, are right diagonally across from the other 45. Therefore, we know that this angle 5 is the same as this 5 because 45, 45 are always the same. It tells us that the length of BC is going to be 5 units. We look at AC. This is going to be a little more tricky because we need to remember that it's 90 degrees. It's extra. We always remember this by memorizing the fact that this will always be multiplied by radical 2. If you think about it, the simple way to solve this problem is doing exactly opposite what we did. We multiplied 5 radical 2 in order to get 5 radical 2. In this case, it's already multiplied. So how about we divide the radical 2? This would make the 3 go on both 45 sides. We look at the question, the length of xy. We found that. It's a 3. The length of YZ is also a 3. Really, really tricky one. These lines here signify the fact that these are a 45 degree. But I also know this because of the 90 degree that it provides. That square signifies 90 degrees. If you notice that these sides are both equal by the line, they're definitely 45. This is a little more tricky because of the fact that we do have a 10. This is a full number, whole number 10, no radicals or nothing. So if we want to write this out again, we know that if we have a triangle, 45, well, it looks really bad, I'm sorry. We know that to get this side, you need to multiply that by radical 2, and this is going to be exactly the same. Right? Now, in order to get a full number, you need to do kind of what we did here. We got the full number by dividing the radical 2 on both sides. So if we plug in the x with a 10, this is what we'll do. 10 divided by radical 2, because you're trying to make the whole number, times it by itself. The reason why this is 2 is because when we multiply, we do get radical 4. Square root of 4 equals 2. That is going to be our answer because of the fact that we just found these lengths. So when we look at our questions, A and B, look at A and B, our answer will be 10 radical 2 divided by 2. BC is the opposite end. Same thing. It's about time you guys try it yourself. Find the variables. Yes, this is surface area of cylinders and prisms. this is a lot to do, so I just kind of got started with it. But I still have a step-by-step thing I do. We have a normal cylinder with a radius of 4 centimeters and a height of 6 centimeters. For surface area, your equation will be 2 pi r times h plus 2 pi r squared. The very first thing I do is normally plug in everything. When I plug it in, this is what it's going to look like. 2 pi 4 times 6 plus 2 pi 4 squared. When I had time using PEMDAS, brought it down. 8 pi times 6 plus 32 pi. Simplify that even more. It's 48 pi plus 32 pi. Add that together, you should get 80 pi centimeters squared. Make sure it's squared because it is the surface area. Alright, same with the surface area of the last one, except this is a prism, not a cylinder. As you can see, I labeled the height, width, and length. But here's the reason why. To find the surface area of the prism, it's a lot more complicated. That's going to be our equation. And one thing that always helps me is to plug it in. Alright? It may not be the same for you, but it is for me. So I plug in everything. 2 times 12 times 8 plus 2 times 12 times 7 plus 2 times 8 times 7. You do not need to distribute in this case because of the fact that we are using PEMDAS. So, oh man. No, 8 times 7 equals 56 times 2. Ooh, let's see. 12 times 6 equals 72. Plus another 12 would be 84. 84 times 2. Okay. 12 times 8. 84. Let's see, that should be 96 times 2. These numbers are going to be far too big for me to say off the top of my mind. 96 times 2 equals 192 plus 84 times 2, which is 168 plus 56 times 2, which is 112. We add this all together, and we get 168 plus 192, 472. Never forget units, centimeters squared. We use squared because it is surface area, and to find the area, it's always squared. Again, with the surface areas of cylinders and prisms, this is literally cylinders and a prism. Well, cylinder and a prism. The first thing I always want to do for this is take it one step at a time. I know the equation for the cylinder, so I'm just going to fill that out first. Remember to always plug it in. 2 pi 3 h, well 3/8 plus 2 pi 3 times 3 equals 9. Alright? When we add that together, or multiply first, you should get 24 times 2, 48 pi plus 18 pi should equal to 66 pi. We know that the surface area of the cylinder is 66 pi. We're not done yet because we still have the very complicated rectangle. I'm going to use this other whiteboard to get more space. So, the equation for a surface area of a rectangle is 2 length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width and height. Same thing, we need to plug in these. So we have 2. Oh, and one thing I always do, it's force of habit, I guess. You know, this is our base right here. Let me make this real quick. Blah, blah, blah. It's kind of janky, I'm sorry. Ish, yeah. Here we go. Okay, it's hard to be an artist. This is our height, this is our width, and this is going to be our length. Okay? We plug this in, this is going to be 6 times 5 plus 2 times 6 times 4 plus 2 width and height, 5 times 4. I use PEMDAS. Always remember PEMDAS. Parentheses comes first. 30, 24, 20. Let's do what I know at least. That should be a 60. Leave that blank. 40, 24 times 2 equals 48. I should know that, but I don't. You have these all together. It should be 108 plus 40, which should equal to 148. But we're not done yet. I'll tell you why. Because that is only the surface area of the rectangle. Considering the fact that we left it in terms of pi, we always need to include the addition of the cylinder. So we don't exactly necessarily need to add that, just to show the separation of the two. Let's say plus 66 pi. Units, centimeters squared. Surface area is right there. Once again, surface area with the square, not cubed. Okay guys, I think you're ready. Give it a try. Here are your answers.